This is a special episode of the Peach and Steve show because we are about a week, or exactly a week at time of recording, past the United States presidential election, and it was a hectic time. I know I lost track of time, but I just wanted to start off asking Peach, how was New York City, the streets of Manhattan, following the decision?
It was wild. So I was walking in the East Village and just on my Saturday morning walk, and I start hearing all these like horns honk. And I'm just like, oh my God, is there a car accident? Or like, did it happen? Did he win? And all these people start running out of the stores, and everyone's like, oh my God, did it actually happen? And we're all just like frantically on our phones. And then people just start going wild and start screaming and blasting music. And so I go to the park, and like, there's live music always at the park. And they're playing America the Beautiful. And it was just so exciting. Felt so good.
I
Felt
did
like New
see
York again.
videos from you and other friends I have there. And just to clarify, this episode's all about vacations, but we couldn't not talk about that because I was seeing videos and like it looked like main streets were shut down, but like in a good way. Like they were like the police were letting people drink in the streets and like it was New
Yeah, it
Orleans.
was wild. Yeah, it really was. Everyone was drinking the streets. I was like on my fire escape dancing, so social distanced. But it was really fun. People were going wild. It was like the happiest I've been in so long. And it was crazy because it was the happiest I've seen like everyone else, just like general humans in so long. So that was crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely been wild since March. Where some people are traveling a lot, which I don't suggest doing. It's
Yeah.
very bad and irresponsible unless you need to, like for family, which I think both of us have
Hmm.
done, and that's a different
Yeah.
situation. But it was finally like a reason to like celebrate something. People were outside, but I mean, you can't hide inside. But the real thing we've been missing, which is our topic for the week, is vacations, like a true vacation, not a like when the election decision came out, I was camping in Western Pennsylvania, so I would not call that a vacation.
No.
But it's this weird kind of like mindset because several times since March, I'm like, oh, I got to go back to New York, and then I'd think 10 seconds later, I go, I can't take a Greyhound bus into New York. I'd
Mm-mm.
get off the bus and I'd be like arrested or like sent back.
Yeah.
And
So
you like don't want to complain, which I know some people do. They're like, oh,
right.
my trip uh, I can't go there. And it's like, but you want to complain though, but you don't want people to like give you backlash. Did you have any
Right.
trips canceled?
I was supposed to go to Australia with my friend who's from Australia, and it was going to be like this really long trip. Obviously, that didn't happen. I was super bummed. We wanted to go to Bali too, but maybe next year or
Yeah,
2 years or three.
I know. It's wild. It's like you have these, things planned, maybe deposits down,
Hmm.
and then you have to be like, oh well, even though you're secretly like really annoyed by it.
Crushed. Yeah, you're just like, oh, no. I mean, even if your plans like in general don't go the way you want them to, you're like bummed probably. But like a vacation that you've been looking forward to, tough.
I know. And like my vacations have normally I would be in New York a few times. I'm quite the US traveler. I would have gone to Chicago and got some deep dish pizza with your sister
Oh, the best.
and her and my friend Connor. So it'd be a weird mashup of people. Maybe just take a road
Ridiculous.
trip somewhere,
Hmm.
but
But
and
no,
then
because
I
yeah,
go on.
people were getting COVID at gas stations a
I know
lot. So you can't even road trip.
can't even take I-80 out
Mm.
from Cleveland to Chicago through the cornfields. You get COVID at the come and go gas stations once you get too far west. But
Yeah.
there's still people like flaunting travel on social media, and I find it the
Yeah.
most. It's like the most. It's not just like people who are influencers too. It's just everyday
Regular
people. Like,
people.
oh well, I'm in Florida now, or I'm out here. It's like I don't know if you should be advertising that.
Yeah, like a lot of people are going to Mexico right now, and a lot of my friends, I don't want to. Hey, well, a lot
Don't
of
name
people have
names.
been going to Mexico. And I want to go to Mexico because Mexico is like my favorite place ever, but I don't know.
And you don't want to get stuck there too. Like I think my sister was supposed to go earlier in the year. I'm like, if they shut down the border and you're stuck in Mexico, you can't be like, call the United States government. They'll be like, sorry.
So,
It's just kind of tricky.
yeah. Yeah, no. A lot of people did get stuck in other places. I mean, I got stuck in Chicago, which was unfortunate. But not the worst. Worked it out. But yeah.
Yeah, you get stuck, and then you still can't complain because then people will shame you for traveling.
Right. Because then it's like, well, you're stuck in like this beautiful country, so chill.
Mm-hmm.
Like at least you have good weather. I don't know. I
I
don't know
think
when
that
we'll be able to travel again.
yeah, it's like tough to predict. I think the only people I'd say who truly deserve the biggest shaming would be the Kardashian family, who I would vote
Oh,
the most out of touch group of people in the history of the world based on their posts of their vacation.
I love the Kardashians with like all of my heart for some reason. And I would die to be in their inner circle and be able to go on that private island of just multiple screenings, quarantining, rapid test, like good vibes
I mean, they
only.
did it properly, but it was still kind of out of touch for the everyday person
Oh
who
man, it
was
was
like,
ridiculous. Like
yeah.
they were, it was like I'm so humbled to be on a private island. I'm like, what? How? I can't wait to get to that level of like being on a private island humbles me, and I'm just
I
like,
know. They're like, well, we tested. It's like, so you're telling me your entire inner circle that you surprised quarantined for 2 weeks. And they're like,
that's so
yeah.
true. They were surprised, or they were just like quarantined for 2 weeks. But you know they can't quarantine for 2 weeks because all those people get like serious treatments done,
Mhm.
like all like facials, all of that stuff. Like you can't properly quarantine. Um,
I just laughed at the backlash, and they're like, like we needed this. And then there was all the Twitter memes of like, I got all my best friends and family to come down here and quarantine for 2 weeks. People just like roasting them, and they didn't get it. But those people are on like a different reality, so I don't even get mad at them.
yeah,
It's
I
like
mean they could have
that's
just
just
like
what they
not
do.
posted. Like they could have just not posted,
They
you
have to
know?
post for the
I
likes.
know, but like they could have literally taken those photos and been like TBT. Pre-COVID, don't worry.
I know,
Not that
but
you
they
should
can't help
lie, but
themselves.
I know. I'm like I'm like stuck in my like New York apartment. Like, girl, give me a private island, please.
I know. I would honestly trade that for my top vacation experience. And I'd also like to make a quick note to anyone viewing. Me and my friends are seeing who could grow the biggest mustache in November. So if I look a little ridiculous, which is really nothing there, but
Yeah.
that's why. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what you do when you're a single guy in the winter. You try to grow a mustache. But so my kind of ridiculous vacation story. I'm gonna be very careful here. I'm not trying to like
Mm-hmm.
name names or shame people, but I did go
Okay.
on vacation with an ex and her like entire family. We were dating for like a month, and we're in the
Wow.
car, and she's on the phone with her mom, and her mom's like, "Does he want to go on this trip?" And of course, I was like, "Yeah, free vacation. I never turn it down." But this was January, and the vacation was in July. So it was always this thing hanging out there.
What? And you had only been dating for a month, so this is a red flag.
I know, but I never turned down a vacation, but I should have. So, and I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
sound ungrateful. I got a free vacation, but it was a disaster. So it's more about the dynamic of the trip. And anyone who's gone, guy or girl, gone on a trip with like another family, it could be a friend. There's always like these weird family dynamics, and you're like, oh, I
Oh,
don't
I
really want to be
couldn't.
here. But
Yeah.
so July rolls around,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, all right, it's vacation time, and they're all stressing out. I'm like, we're going to the Outer Banks. I'm like, how can you be stressed at the Outer Banks, man? It's the chillest place of all time. So it's the night before, and
Mm-hmm.
her family's like all driving separately, and I'm like, I'm gonna drive myself with you because I'm not driving with someone else's parents because I don't even like driving with my own parents. Once people start arguing, I like open the car door and barrel roll out. I can't take it. So the day they're like, we're gonna leave at 2 in the morning, and I'm like, 2 in the morning, pitch black in the mountains trying to drive. And I'm like,
This is terrifying. Did you think
I
you were
was,
gonna get murdered?
yes, I thought I was going to like have to
Good.
pull. And I
Okay.
used to drive out west in Nevada, and I was more scared here because I was delirious with no sleep driving. So it's like
Yeah.
2 in the morning and they're all up and everyone is just angry except me.
Weird.
I'm like singing Vacation by the Go-Go's and I'm all excited and they're all like grumpy. So I make myself some coffee. I don't know. It was a disaster. So like I get in the car and we stop at like a get-go and I get some
Mhm.
monsters, I get some candy, I'm ready. It's a
Good
12-hour
vibes.
drive.
Yeah. 12
And
hour drive.
yeah, starting at 2 in the morning.
Oh my God. With someone else's, with your girlfriend's family.
I know. But I was in the car with just her. So it's just me and her in
Mm-hmm.
our car. And she sleeps like the first few hours. So I'm like, whatever, probably for the best. I'll turn the music up and just stay awake like a junkie truck driver or something.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually I get there and I'm so delirious. Like I'm so tired. And the
Yeah.
last hour was like bumper to bumper traffic. So I'm just like this, staying awake. And I get there and it's all mayhem. There's like 12 people. They had this dog, this puppy that was like 90-pound lab. And once again, not complaining, just like sharing the
Mm-hmm.
atmosphere. And it's just total mayhem. So I just grab a beer and go sit on one of the patios at this big house we're in and just call my parents. I'm like, I'm alive. I'm here. Like, this is horrible. So then it's the first night, and I'm so tired. And I'm bunking with her older brother, who that was the first time I met him. We're just bunk buddies.
Jesus. Oh my God, Steven.
I know all these stories to me just
Your bunk
happened,
buddies.
but then I tell them, and people have the reaction like you. I'm like, what? Everyone doesn't do this?
No.
So I'm so tired. We're sleeping. He's snoring like a goat. So I'm like, oh, I'm not going to sleep. So I
Yeah.
climbed down from the top bunk, which I had claimed, and
Nice.
I sleep on the couch at 6 a.m. That 90-pound dog is like pounding on me. And they're
Of
like, oh,
course.
she likes you. So I was like,
Mm,
ah.
right.
So I immediately just get up and I go to the beach. I'm never up before like 10. And this is like 6:30 in the morning. And I'm just sitting on the beach by myself, staring at the ocean like, oh my God, I'm here for a whole week. And it just turned
It's a
in.
whole week vacation?
And I was there. And no one really knew me. They're like, oh, is this the boyfriend? I'm like, hey, here to party, everyone. There was like 12 people, including me. And it's
Like cousins and stuff?
cousins, aunts and uncles, grandma was there. But here's the thing.
Agree.
And this is the part that this family would agree with me on.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't the only boyfriend there. One of her aunts brought a boyfriend. And these are 50-year-old
Oh.
people. And
Oh, good.
he was ridiculous. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna look so good with this guy here. He smoked like 2 cartons of cigarettes, like with ease.
Hot.
Had like
Mhm.
10 Budweisers a day, which I was having beer
Ooh.
too, but like this guy was just,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't wear a shirt the whole trip, except when we
Oh,
went out
that's
to
my
eat.
favorite.
He had
That's the best.
and any girl who dates someone known as an F
I-
boy will know, he only wore the same pair of basketball shorts the entire trip.
No, so he's in the same basketball shorts, no shirt, chain smoking cigarettes, and pounding beers.
Mm-hmm. And he
All
didn't even
trip.
go to the beach. He just sat by the pool. He's like, I don't want to go to the beach.
Hot.
And
Love
he
that.
got a free vacation. The aunt paid for him.
Wow.
And I was sitting there like trying to be like a good little boy. And I'm like, is everyone like that guy? Like, do we like him or no? And it was just horrible. And he was just smoking. And he was in the same pair of basketball shorts. And the way my mind works is like his dirty butt is going to be on the couch. And he was laying on the couch, dirty butt, no shirt on. And I was like, oh, I can't sit on that couch the rest of the trip. And like
Absolutely not.
my couch I was sleeping on was my bed. And one night I go down there and he's just like splayed out. I was like,
oh my God.
I just like slept on the floor like a rat.
Did you really? That's so funny.
But it was like, and it was very nice. They got me a birthday cake because it was my birthday down there. And I'm like, oh, that was nice.
That's really nice.
But there's so many dynamics that was so bizarre. Like, arguing with someone you're dating on a trip with their family.
Did you get in a fight with her?
I didn't. So I was so tired. And when I mean, you know me, I'm a relatively quiet, easygoing person. So I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I don't really feel good. I'm just going to chill. Like, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
chill. You're with your whole family. Go mingle. And I was getting like yelled at for sitting. And I'm like, I feel like, I mean, the last episode I talked about passing out at a wedding. I was in the heat and I'm like as pale as
You
they
don't
come.
do
My
well in
light
the
is like
heat.
doesn't even
Yeah.
shed light on how pale I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm just tired. And it's like, well, you're ruining my trip. I was like, I'm gonna crash our car into the ocean on the way home if you
Oh
don't
my
stop.
God.
But like I was just trying to enjoy myself.
Yeah.
And another fun fact is one of her aunts had a bearded dragon on a leash in the sand at the beach.
That's
And I just had to act like
amazing.
everyone does that, but I was
Yeah.
like, that's pretty cool, honestly.
Pretty cool.
He was just
Pretty
like,
cool.
I'm alive. So it was fun. I had a giant sun hat. I was like, I'm gonna buy the biggest sun hat they have. And I wore it
Logical.
with long sleeves because I'm like, an 1800s farmer. I can't be in the sun for too long.
Mm-hmm.
And their family made fun of me for it. And I was like,
Oh, it's the worst when the family makes fun of the boyfriend for what they wear.
I know.
The
And I was like, I
worst.
dressed the same since the 8th grade.
Yeah.
Like, lay off. But it's time to
That's
go
so funny.
home, and I wake up, and it's like in Outer Banks, since it's at sea level, it just floods when it rains. So I
Okay.
just step outside to get to my car, and the water goes all the way up to my ankle and just soaks my shoes. I was like, ugh.
Wow.
So we get out.
Hot.
Like, what was supposed to be a 12-hour drive took like 16 hours.
Oh my God. I would puke. I would get so car sick.
And then I get back to her place, and I'm trying to eat some pizza and chill. And her dog jumps up on me and rips my pants down in front of her.
In front of her family?
Just her mom. So I'm just standing there
Oh
chatting
my
with her
God.
mom, and I'm just
Still.
pants down in my underwear. And I was like, I don't really care at this point. You could look.
Yeah.
And it was just
so funny.
And then, they're like, that was so fun. I'm like, oh my God, that was arguably the most fun I've had in my entire life.
Just
But
straight up lying.
I think now, if I were to do that with a girl's family, I'd have to be like buddies with the parents, not like, hey, I met you once. Do you want to go on our family vacation?
Insane. I can't believe that they didn't even meet you and they invited you on the vacation.
Well, I think we met once.
Oh, okay.
And they're like,
yeah, you met once.
And they're like, we'll drop hundreds of dollars on you. I'm like, all right.
That's really nice of them.
It's like it was very nice and thoughtful. It's like, hey, we're going to bring you along on this ridiculous vacation. I'm like, all right, we'll see what happens. No sleep. I was dehydrated. I was attacked by the dog.
Always dehydrated.
I know. That's why I have my Hufflepuff cup. I'm changing my ways. But
love that. Did you get any warning? Like, because I always wonder, like, I mean, I've never brought a boyfriend on a family vacation because I feel like that would be a step for me. But like, do you warn them? Like, did you get a warning? Like, yo, my aunt, like, she has a bearded lizard. Like,
I knew
boyfriend's like a little weird.
Like, it was just
okay. So you knew.
It was just like the dynamic. Like, if I was like, why does she have this lizard on the beach? You'd be like, what do you mean? I don't know. It seems a little odd that there's a lizard on a leash. But no, there was no real. I mean, I got a warning about the other boyfriend.
Yeah.
But he was just so ridiculous and like everyone was annoyed by him. I'm like, should I say something to him? And he was dropping F-bombs and smoking his carton of cigarettes. I was like,
he sounds amazing. Sounds like a character.
Bringing this up is just stressing me out. So why don't I always do this? I'll be like, oh, this story. So why don't we shift to you? I know yours was not involving any significant other.
Actually, it was.
Ooh, I lied.
So it's kind of like it was like a work trip. It wasn't really a vacation, but at the time I couldn't go on vacation because I was in a very toxic job that only had 5 PTO days for the full year. So where would I go? But they sent me on a work trip to Miami, and I was there for the first weekend alone, and then the CEO was going to come meet me. And basically the whole point of the trip is to go shopping and then for shoes. And then they rip off the shoes. They send them to China and they just copy them. So that's what I was there to do. So I invite my ex-boyfriend and I'm like, let's go for a weekend, 2 days before. And I'm going to work, but like come with. So he comes with work. Like they had no idea. If anyone's listening, that's pretty funny. But So I picked the hotel. It's in South Beach, super cute. We go out to dinner and I leave like my, dirty clothes in the corner, like in the corner of the closet, and I like close the closet doors and we go to dinner. And we come back and the room is like perfectly clean, everything's fine. And then my pink underwear is like on the middle of the bed. And they're just like pink cotton underwear. And I'm like, that's so weird, to the point where I like take a photo of it because I'm like, that is so weird. Like, why is this room clean? My underwear is just like in the center. And I had been sitting in this pair of underwear. Like, these are the underwear that I wore on the flight from New York to Miami. So I pick up the pair of underwear to put them away, and there's a huge circle cut out in the back of the underwear.
Oh my God.
Like a perfectly cut circle, like with
Gross.
scissors in the butt of the underwear. And I was like, shocked. Like, oh my God, what do I do? And I was so creeped out and I was so scared. But I was really grateful that my ex-boyfriend had come with me, because if I was alone, like shaking on
You
the
have to
floor,
leave.
wouldn't know what to do. So I'm like staring at all these maids that like walk past. I'm like, oh my God, like, are these the people? Like, are they the one who have like the butt of my underwear? There was this one younger guy, and I was suspicious of him because he was like the only male cleaning person at the hotel. And it was like a boutique small hotel. And I told the front desk and they were like, that's so weird. I don't know. Never heard of that. And like, I
Gross.
really regret not telling my mom that this had happened, because I could have totally sued them. I mean,
Exactly.
it's basically like sexual harassment in some form. It's a violation of property. Um, and it's so creepy. So
My
someone has
theories
the
on
butt of
that
my underwear.
would
Yeah.
be either the guy kept the butt to sniff, or, which I know has happened with one of my friends in the past, a girl took pictures in it and like sent them to someone. That's my other theory. Because when I was in youth baseball, one of you would leave your phone in the room when you were a kid, right? Because you weren't
Uh-huh.
texting. So this kid's phone had text sent to Mexico, and he was like, "What the heck?" And it was like nudes. The girl never deleted them. So like it's possible that they were like, I'm gonna take pictures in these. I don't know. Maybe they turned them around. I don't know the picture dynamic, but it makes me feel better than a guy keeping the butt fabric.
Oh my God. So you think someone cut a hole out of the butt of my underwear, wore that, like posed in a butt, like a cheekless underwear for a picture,
It's possible,
and then like left back? I mean, if you're gonna take photos, like I do prefer that. Like, flaunt yourself, do your thing, girl. But like,
but not with someone's dirty underwear. That's a little creepy.
it's a little weird.
And the fact they would leave it on the bed is like so appalling that they weren't even
Right. It's
trying to
like they
hide it.
wanted me to see it. And it's like I had clean underwear in my bag. Like, you could have just gone in my bag and grabbed a clean pair. But like, why did you go for the oh my God. Yeah. That was a really weird work trip.
What sounds like it. You're just like trying to work, and there's just like you can't even like be comfortable in your room. That's always
So
annoying.
uncomfortable.
My God.
Yeah.
So I have some listener questions I wanted to throw to you, which I have not read any of them to you yet.
Oh, this is exciting. Okay.
So I got a bunch. A few are
Mm-hmm.
jokes, but I have some serious ones, and I'll offer
Okay, cool.
my uh, thought too. So the first one, which I think is fun, if you could be a character from any book or movie or TV show, who would it be? You don't have to like live out their life, but you would be them.
I would be them.
Like, say for example, you're like, I don't know why this. Say you're like Ted Mosby, but you don't have to like follow Ted
Okay.
Mosby's plot lines. You would just be Ted Mosby.
This is the best question I've ever been asked. And like every show and movie I've ever watched is just going through my head.
I know.
But the problem is all the things I watch are like super messed up and dark. And I'm just like, whoa, no.
Well, you could be that person, but you wouldn't have the same things that they're going through. You would just like be them in real life. Like you'd have their
Oh my
job.
God. Okay. Okay. Uh, this is so hard, but so good. I would want to be someone who can sing, because I
Ooh,
can't
yeah.
sing and I hate the fact that I can't sing. So it'd be someone who was rich and can sing and is pretty.
Hmm.
But most of them all die, so that's really tough. Like dramatic deaths,
Maybe
like
you could be like Lady
Selena.
Gaga from A Star Is Born.
Oh my God, the ending of that movie.
Like you'd be a
No.
regular girl with Lady Gaga's voice.
Yes, but I wouldn't want to live her life.
No, yeah, you'd be a country star, so to say.
I'd be fine with the country star, but
Yeah. No,
the
I
ending
know.
of that movie, I don't want to
Yeah.
spoil it. Like, I could pass on that.
I don't, Ted Mosby obviously popped to mind, but I wouldn't pick Ted Mosby because I don't like architecture. So
That's your big thing is the
like I like
architecture.
his dating life because it mirrors my own, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be an architect. Um,
Yeah.
for some reason, 70 Show popped into my mind when I was trying to think
Love
of
a 70
examples,
show.
but I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
can't relate to that time period.
They're like too young. Yeah, like Sex and the City popped into my head, and then I'm like, I would never want to be any of those women.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not true, but their lives
I
are
think it's fun to
very
think too of like movies
chaotic.
because you're thinking literally of someone you see for 90 minutes.
500 Days of Summer. 500 Days of
You'd
Summer.
be Summer or Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Summer.
Nice.
Summer.
I think that's a
Yeah.
good choice.
That's a good choice. Yes.
And
She can sing too.
she gets like
And she has
slandered
her
in
own
that movie by
storyline.
guys, but it's like no, the point of the movie is that Joseph Gordon-Levitt shouldn't like obsess over her.
Okay, exactly. And so I saw some tweet. Someone was like, oh my God, like Summer treated him so badly, like whatever. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who I'm in love with, huge celebrity crush, was like tweeted back being like, clearly you didn't understand the movie.
Yeah.
And so basically the whole point of that movie is like he thinks that Summer is supposed to be his manic pixie dream
Yeah.
girl that's just like a side character that's his cheerleader that just pushes him along, but she's her own character with her own storyline and her own life.
It seemed pretty clear to me when I watched it.
Yeah.
So you take Summer.
Take Summer.
I don't take someone from like a fantasy show like Star Wars. That'd be lame.
I know. I was like,
I'm trying to
I know.
think
I
of
was
like
thinking
rom
animated shows.
coms. Summer's a
Okay.
really good one. That's one of my favorite movies where he's dancing around in the streets, and then it like cuts to him depressed. Like it's really well made.
I love the way that movie's edited. I love movies with time when they go back and forth like that.
I might take Scott Pilgrim just because he lives in a ridiculous
That's
world.
such a good one. That's such a good one.
That's what I take because your whole life would just be like ridiculous.
With all of these girls just like fighting over you, could not be more perfect for you. That's really good.
All right, so you take Summer and I take Scott Pilgrim. Two great choices, both kind of in movies with a little fantasy. Obviously, Scott Pilgrim has more.
I'm gonna be texting you later with better ideas. But
I know and I'd hope people would comment on our YouTube with their choices because I know we have repeat listeners. So my next question that I already have my answer to, but it's what's a concept that might be deemed a conspiracy theory that you believe in? And I'll open it up. Mine is that aliens are real, but just to give an example.
Oh, duh. Mine is that I'm not real or we're not real. Like I'm pretty sure I already died. And this is like we're living in limbo and we just all have to like get through this and then we die and then we go to the next level, which is either like, I don't know, some version of heaven, hell of some sort. And I also think that like we're a tester universe planet, whatever, where like they test all these things on us and then they see what works and what doesn't. And then someone's observing us and then they go, oh, okay, well, we're not going to do that. And then they move on.
Those are some deep sci-fi theories that would be considered conspiracy, I guess. But I mean, I can't argue.
These are such good questions.
Oh. They're all from one person who has not paid to send them in, and they're not from me. So this is what happens when people work in offices and they're bored. They respond to the AMAs, but they are good questions. I like that though. I like any like simulation related reality type theory because it's not like it's just as plausible as anything else, you know?
Right. It's like you have this whole concept of heaven and hell, and it's like, well, what if we just already are in it?
All right. I have one more question.
Okay, go.
You can finish your thought if you'd like to.
Okay, I'm also a lot of the times like a very frequent fantasy I have is that I live in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, that
Nice.
movie, just because I want my memory erased so often of people in my life. So that's it.
Talk about a great movie too, with Elijah Wood being super creepy. I love the movie. It's just a perfect movie. Jim
I
Carrey's
love how creepy it
probably his
is.
best
It's
role.
perfect. That movie is perfect. You know, he's the only one who wasn't allowed to improv in that movie.
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, yeah.
That's funny. Maybe
Because
they had
they
to keep
wanted
him
him
on
to be
track.
so, yeah, like so like reserved
That's interesting.
and
I know it's one of
quiet.
your fave films. So,
It is. Oh. Mm.
all right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now the last
Okay,
question
sorry.
before we move on to other stuff. And this is one which the asker, I know, uh, it's my roommate, so he talks about it all the time. Uh, if a vampire offered to make you a vampire and you'd live forever at the
Mm-hmm.
current or at a current age, you never age, would you do it? And the trade-off is obviously no sunlight and you have to kill people for their blood. Some people are totally down with this. I would say no because I don't want to live that long. But would you do it? Say you're a vampire starting at your age now. You live forever.
I feel like being a vampire would be like really hot and fun. I'd be down to get some spooky stuff, but like, do I want to live forever? Every morning I'm like, oh, another day, but then I get through it. So, do I want to like
Do that
do
for
that?
eternity.
Like, what's my mental state at? Like, am I not me, or am I?
Well, we're talking. We're
Like
not
a,
talking like Twilight vampires. We're talking like Interview with the
that's what I'm
Vampire,
thinking.
like a kind of like romanticized version where you're still yourself. You have your same mental capacities. You just have to like get people's blood. You have
And I
some
like sleep in a
runaways.
coffin. Oh, have you seen that movie?
Which one?
Can't remember what it's called. What we do in the shadows.
Oh yeah, yeah. You could be like a
Yeah,
modern everyday vampire who feels bad about
yeah,
eating the people. Yeah, that's a good example
yeah.
too because those
That'd be
people in the
fun.
movie, that's probably the most pop culture vampire that you've ever seen on screen.
I feel like you don't get the opportunity to become a vampire every day.
That
And
is
so
fair.
if that opportunity came into my life, I would bite at it.
Nice. A good spooky season pun and question. No, yeah, it
Ooh.
my roommate's dead set. He's like, if I and I told him if I was a vampire, I'd bite him when he was like 85. And just be like, hey man, we're both vampires. He'd be like,
What's
ah.
up? That'd be
He just
terrible. That'd be
wheels
so
around.
bad.
He can't
Yeah.
eat. I'd have to like bring him blood. But it's some good questions, I'd say. I'd hope when I post these stuff, because when you post it, sometimes creepy guys kind of spam the responses. But in mine, I don't have any OnlyFans requests or anything. I get some good questions. I'm also, I think, going to be stuck on. It's still going through my head of, what character would you be? Because you could literally break it down by book, movie, and show.
Fuck.
Because book is
I'm
like a
going
whole
to be
different thing.
oh my god. This question is going to be on my mind for a solid month. And I'm going to ask everyone I know as well.
I think book wise, I'd want to be an adult character in a series of unfortunate events. That was one of my favorite stories. I reread it in
Oh
college too.
my god, same. I
Because it's
loved
like a
those books.
gothic, goofy world, but like
It's so
a
creepy,
good
but it's like
character.
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. And their costumes in those movies,
Mm-hmm. I love it.
obsessed.
They really bring back the
Uh,
like fancy suits with no sock look with the low shoes.
right. Yeah.
That everyone in the Bachelorette wears.
Mm.
So
Oh God, that
no
season
sock
is really
season.
bad right now. Corpse Bride keeps coming up in my mind, and which is concerning because I'm like, do I want to be dead? Like, what's that at? Like, should I look into that? But I really love that movie. Just watched it.
On that note, I would say maybe I'd be Coraline's dad. Because I basically
Ooh.
am now. He just sits hunched at the computer all day.
I'm just like,
But
oh my
Corpse Bride would
God.
be good because that would be your existence, be
I
dead.
love Corpse Bride. I love that movie because I think it's so cool that when they show like the dead and like the underworld, it's like really colorful. And when they show the
Mm-hmm.
people who are alive, it's all like really like dull, like no color. And I just like love that contrast.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to await your. I'll think I'll just bring this question up every episode and be like, all right.
You should, because I'm gonna have a different answer. Oh, it's such a good question.
And whenever we have guests, we'll save it and throw it to
Oh,
them.
I love that. Yeah.
But I mean, I could answer these all day, but we do
Me
have to
too.
wrap up here soon. We've
Okay.
covered uh, the dirty underwear conspiracy, other conspiracy theories, and also just a sad vacation I took. In terms of life updates, I guess before I pitch all the stuff, Hinge just rolling along, having a good time on there. I
Love
almost
that for
gave
you.
up. My one friend who listens, I just convinced him to get on Hinge, and he hasn't had a dating app forever. He's 26,
Wow.
and he brought up to me. He says, "I want Hinge, but on one of your episodes, Peach did say she had a moment of weakness and downloaded Hinge." I said, "Buddy, it's not a moment of weakness. You'll be fine."
Sorry. It's not. Which is personal.
Yeah, so
It's
I'm
so funny.
I think I should work for Hinge because I'm
I think
really
you
good at pitching
should.
it. I'm like, it's great. You meet people, you might hang out, they'll ghost you, and then you're depressed. I'm like, that's it. That's the
What
experience.
else do you want out of life? Nothing.
Like, I don't want a steady relationship where people are gonna text me all day. I can't keep track of all those messages. But
That's so funny.
I would never go on here and name names, but I'm saying Hinge is rolling along. It's a fun time. It's kind of a weird time considering you're not really supposed to meet up with people, but I'll give them the Kardashian, hey, you got 2 weeks, quarantine, meet me at the park.
Their screen. Yeah.
I'll stick the nasal swab up and I'll take it to the lab
Yeah. We like take their temperature.
as soon as I meet them for the
That's so
first
funny. I
time.
would love that.
I'm curious to ask you too, would you suggest that I ask for a girl's number after chatting or wait for them to send it to me? Or is this a case by case basis?
It's it's probably case by case, but I'll just give you my opinion. And I mean, I'm really bad at dating apps, so clearly from what we've talked about. But usually people ask me for my number and then I give it to them. And even when they text me, I'm like, eh.
Yeah, that's my
But
fear. You don't want to get it too early.
like I usually don't give out like my number. I'm not like, here, text me.
Yeah.
I'd rather keep it at like an Instagram DM, keep it like real casual. Because the texting just for some reason feels, unless it's this one dude, he can text me. But
no, I feel it too. It's also like easier to internet message anyway, like on apps. And people don't have your personal phone number if things go bad.
Right. I don't mind people having my personal phone number. It's just like, I don't know. It's just like it depends on the flow of the conversation. If you guys are messaging a lot, then like, yeah, get your number. But if it's like just a hey, like wait it out, That's what I think.
That's why you gotta turn it. You gotta get a fake number, so you just hand that out, or get like one of your friends you don't like number and give it that number.
Right. Like I regret. This guy at Whole Foods asked me out. This has actually been my whole dilemma of the day. This guy at Whole Foods asked me out, and I was like, cool. And he was like, what's your number? And I was like, oh, and I like shouldn't have given him my number. I should have been like, what's your Instagram or something? Mostly because I can't remember what he looks like.
Nice.
I have no idea what he looks like now.
He was in a mask. He was in a mask.
He was in a mask. No idea what he looks like. It's been like 2 weeks. We're supposed to go get drinks tomorrow. And he's texting me like, do you still want to go? And I'm like, I don't know your last name.
Say, send me a pic to prove it's real. But like a face pic.
I can't remember what you look like.
And he could have no teeth.
Yeah.
That is a pretty big dilemma. I know. You say you don't feel comfortable getting drinks during a pandemic.
Yeah.
That would be a good save.
That'd be a good save.
You have to keep everyone updated.
But I do this all the time. I can never remember what people look like. I'm like, I need a photo of you. Because otherwise I'm just gonna sit there at the bar and wait for someone to come find me because like I have no idea who you are, and then it's just awkward. Oh God. I'll let you know if I go tomorrow.
Amazing.
Yeah, sorry.
I like those types of dilemmas. It brings some normalcy to a crazy year.
Yeah.
But in terms of our show, I mean, we're rolling along. We're having good followings. Our listeners are consistent, so I appreciate that, both on YouTube and Spotify, Apple.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say our if you want to really help us out and you're listening, you got this far, you're already a loyal listener. You could subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is just the Peach and Steve Show, and you could also leave a review on Apple. It takes like 2 seconds. You just hit the 5-star button, unless you're a hater, in which case, don't listen. That's weird if you listen to this and you don't even like it. But Spotify, you can't really leave too many ratings. But Apple and YouTube, and they have weird algorithms that'll help it show up more. In terms of my stuff, I'm on Hinge in the Northeast Ohio area. No last name though. I'm not handing that out easily. My book Above and Below is on Amazon. I have in my outline here to answer the IG questions. I got to it much earlier because they were too exciting.
Too good. I love them.
And before I get to you, in terms of next week, we're going to have next week's or 2 weeks from now, the next episode is going to come out before Thanksgiving because it's Thanksgiving in 2 weeks.
Woo,
so
turkey.
It's coming up really fast. I'll probably talk about my last Thanksgiving where I spent it with someone else's family, but I'll think about it before we get to that point because I don't want to make that the show. But pitch your stuff before we get going here because I know you got a lot of fun digital media projects.
So I started my TikTok, which is just me eating food. So follow that, Peach Mango Juice 777. Getting a lot of really interesting, fun comments from that. So I'm sure to share that on here sometime. And yeah. Oh, good. Ooh, just hit 10K on Instagram. So I'm going to be swiping up with the podcast. Can't wait.
Finally getting into I've seen other people who are like famous do the same thing we're doing with like the Zoom calls. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, all they're doing is throwing some logos on it in an editor. I'm like, oh, this is easy. But I think our YouTube videos are fine. But we're going to add some stuff, get some more fun IG
Pump it up.
Clips. I'll take the best sound bites from these episodes and share them. And hopefully girls I meet don't watch those because the last one I posted was about hot dog weddings, which I loved. I mean, but sometimes it comes out a little strong. First meeting, they think you're famous, which is always tough. But...
Just like
so we have Peach Mango Juice on Instagram and then Peach Mango Juice 777 on TikTok. Correct? TikTok.
Yep. If you want to watch me eat food, enjoy.
And you have to leave appropriate comments because it's wholesome content.
Very much so.
But
all my content is very wholesome.
Wholesome, family friendly, Midwestern content.
Just a Midwestern girl.
So be sure to, subscribe and do all that. I don't blast our video with tags of that because it's annoying, but it'd be cool if you did. And think about the questions we asked. Reach out to us on social media or just comment on YouTube. We can get a fun comment community going. But we'll be back in less than 2 weeks because this will go up. We're recording on a Tuesday. It'll go up on a Thursday. And then 2 weeks from that Thursday is Thanksgiving. So we'll be back with a special guest as well. And that'll be very fun. I'm very excited.
Yes, it's going to be really fun. Me too. Yay.
So, all right. From both of us, this is Peach and Steve Show, and we will see you then.